Good morning and welcome to Sunrise. It is the week before the DSS.
Yeah.
Remember? I'm Alero Edu.
And I'm Aya Makinde. So a number of people have been arrested and more will be arrested. And
notable among them?
Yes, Alibaba.
Alibaba.
You are under arrest. No, please. You are over arrest.
Oh, now it's over.
No. Under arrest is small. He's up there, so he's over.
Well, we had a very, very exciting week.
Eventful.
Very eventful. Rivers was in the news every single day.
The events were just
Ondo was in the news.
The events were just flowing like rivers.
And then companies leaving Nigeria, then inflation figures. You know, we were just inundated. I mean, before you got used to one piece of news, another one would hit you and say, pay attention, everybody. Another one has happened. So where do we start? Apapa Oshodi, Ijora, Apapa Oshodi Expressway, chock-a-block again.
Let's start from there. What happened?
Both ways, I'm told. Then, in fact, Olu Phillips had a chat with the governor, and the governor said that he had instructed that by Wednesday evening, there should be no trucks on those roads.
So, if you are in that environment,
I think the trucks are still there.
Tell us whether the trucks have left, because it is very important to ensure that whatever the governor of Lagos State says is executed accordingly. It's the governor, the chief security officer of the state.
As they say in Nigeria, according by.
So yes, if they still happen to be there,
let us know.
Because, the governor will deal with you decisively. Yes. What are you talking about? Yes.
Anybody would think that you were the governor.
Yeah, come on. If the governor has given an order. In fact, you remember that he went to this particular location. You people, I give you X number of days.
The president gave them order once. They left for 2 days and they were back. That's the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
It was that president, not this president. So the governor of has said it. So if they are still there, send us an email.
Okay.
See the email address on your list.
Also, in the course of the week, we heard that palliative loans were given to manufacturers, but palliative loans were being approved for manufacturers. But the manufacturers, the foreign manufacturers, the multinationals in our country are leaving. So, and then our president is traveling around the world inviting people to come and invest in Nigeria. And I'm wondering, I'm not getting this. I'm not understanding. And then you are telling me that I should be coming down.
Oh, well, there are two options. Either you are coming down or coming up.
I will choose to up. Thank you.
But you know, the thing is this.
The verb to up.
The thing is this. And it's an irony. It's an irony.
It is.
While many Nigerians were leaving the country some months, maybe about a year or so, thereabout ago, the president at the time, I don't know what you do, welcomed many foreigners, more than 200, almost 300 foreigners who wanted to naturalize to be Nigerians. You know, so there must be some things I want to say. But you know, what is interesting, right, is have we even been able to track and pin down what is it that make these people leave? Michelin left Nigeria. Why? Dunlop left Nigeria. Why? Peugeot.
Lately,
P&G. And that's
GSK. And even foreign airlines are threatening to leave Nigeria.
So what is the thing that is making someone to leave and some want to stay in Nigeria? I think those are troubling issues that, let me hope. One of the things the president said, by the way, the current president said, by the way, is that, look, we'll make sure it's easy for you to repatriate your funds.
Yeah.
Remember the previous government, they talked a lot about ease of doing business. But it was just a sample to 1 or 2 states.
Yeah, so we spoke about this ease of doing business this morning before coming on air, and I was saying to you that there's an area which wasn't looked at that time, the vice president who was in charge of that particular program made sure that you could get visas on arrival, make it easier for foreigners to come in who were coming in to do business here. But when I looked at the matter critically, I realized that corruption played a very big part in killing businesses in Nigeria.
Yes, I don't like the word you used. It is not past tense. It's present continuous.
Corruption plays.
Please, still doing it. Remember those officers of the law at the airport? I think it was at the airport that was saying.
It's one officer, one. Yeah,
okay.
one lady.
Okay.
Give me 5,000.
So where did she get the courage from?
And when the guy said no, she said 3. The guy said, I no get. So
they can't negotiate.
Like they were pricing pepper in the market.
Pricing bribery.
Pricing bribery.
So there was another one, I don't know, you also may have seen that one. A biker. And then police stopped the fellow. The lady, it was a lady who was biking. Of course, because she had all of the gear on, you wouldn't know who it was. The guy stopped her after I said, Shake body.
Shake body.
I'm like, hey, don't we know these things? So, one of the things that I said, back, when we were preparing is that we seem to have lost our sense of Nigerianness, sense of patriotism seems gone. And that is why anyone who finds himself in a position of authority, even the driver of a vehicle, they forget that the surname of their function is service, servant. And who is a servant? You are a civil servant. You are a public servant. You are not the boss. The person you are arresting is the boss. Yes, the person you are arresting is the boss. So let's get the general understanding of these things and treat ourselves and our nation with respect.
I saw the Minister for Information and National Orientation during the week. I didn't pay attention to what he was saying because I was very, very pained at how we seem to have lost all thought of our country. It is not our country we think about, it's our pockets. We think about ourselves first.
Two references that I would make, Alero. One, Samadiyemi said exactly what you're saying on the same program, Sunrise Daily. Look, when I was asking, how do we bring everyone together to think Nigeria? I said, look, the leaders of today are thinking, first of all, about themselves.
Exactly.
The minister said, trust is gone, and he has a mandate
to restore it.
Yeah. Question is how? Let me be clear. It is absolutely impossible to achieve that feat without the partnership of other stakeholders, particularly the state governments. So when people see some things happening in their states, impunity, making the rounds and stuff, how are we going to trust the system?
And when a leader spends the kind of money we heard that the Senate president spent on his insignificant, and I mean that as in, it is not a landmark birthday. If he spends that kind of money celebrating a birthday, then the people begin to wonder, okay, so how much does he get paid? Where's he getting all this money from that he's spending like that?
No,
is that really his money?
Exactly, it's his friends, friends and associates who love him, who have benefited from his goodwill over the years. You just want to...
And you want to convince these people who have not had a good meal in a week?
Well, different strokes for different folks.
The people are so disillusioned. You really need to get them back on board. Minister for Information and National Orientation, you have your work cut out. And all I can do is wish you good luck. Because you need to bring back that Nigerian thing. But when you hear stuff like people, what's the expression that they use again? People in high places are the ones who are stealing our oil, stealing our crude oil.
And we're still looking for them.
And then you arrest an Okada man and you get a phone call from Abuja and someone says, release that man immediately. I mean, you're not thinking about the country first. Please, we need to put Nigeria first.
I think one of the things that...
Talking about putting Nigeria first, Ajaokuta still rolling mill.
If Ajaokuta worked today, Alero, my opinion is a lot of things will be solved, a lot of problems will be solved for us as a nation. If Ajaokuta were to work today, start functioning, I'm wondering, the automobile industry, for instance, will come back. There is all the people that had to bring, start refineries in the country. You can imagine how much they had to spend to bring this steel infrastructure into the country. All of that will go under.
There you go.
The steel rods used for buildings and all those things. During part of the things that was responsible for collapsed buildings were that the dimensions were getting smaller and the quality of steel was getting smaller.
If we had our own rolling mill.
If we had our own rolling mill.
Can there be industrialization without a steel rolling mill?
So when you talk about all these little issues, it sounds to me like people are just touching Nigeria with their eyes blindfolded. I mean, okay, oh, Nigeria is an arm. Oh, Nigeria is a leg. But if you look out and you see the humongous edifice called Nigeria,
and
then
you see its potential.
Yes. As far as the 80s, all I could do was watch TV. And I could tell at that time that they were telling us Nigeria is the giant
of Africa.
We
call ourselves that now, but somehow I don't feel like a giant.
Well, it's not a function of feeling. You are a giant, whether you live as a giant or not. That's another thing altogether.
Well, I'm not behaving like I'm a giant.
Well, it depends on how you see yourself in the mirror. A cat could see itself as a lion.
Some Liberian blogger, or whatever they call them, put something on the internet and says, hey, Nigeria says it is the giant of Africa. But here is a photo of Nigeria at night, Lagos at night. Total blackness.
Well, another fellow came to Nigeria, to Lagos, and traveled around and said all the things that they were saying about Nigeria was wrong, that Nigeria is very hip and techie and all those things. It depends on who is looking at it. I have chosen, I told you, to be positive about this country because the potential we have, the potential we have as a nation.
But being positive doesn't mean that we will ignore our
absolutely not. Absolutely not, Alero. I am going to shout it to the rooftops. Everything that is wrong is wrong. First of all, the people, if you find yourself in government, recognize, even if you're a driver, recognize you are there to serve. First of all, you are there to serve. So a situation where a policeman, I was driving, along a very small road, and this fellow, because he had a driver beside, a policeman beside him, he thought he could roughshod me out of the way. He was he was facing me. I was on the right. He was on the wrong.
You had right of way.
Absolutely. I stopped right there in front of him. Oh yeah, run me over. They had to pilot themselves, back into that. He was now still pointing at, come on. And these are the little things.
To set the example.
Exactly. People don't know that once you carry a government nameplate, you are supposed to be an example. But hey, how many of them are even watching this program right now? The drivers I'm talking about. But the bosses,
the bosses are asleep.
Who's
having
right there
all night.
saying, who are those people? You are not the boss. You're a servant.
The office of the citizen, we must remind all of us again, is the most powerful office in the land. The office of the citizen. And I'm glad to say that gradually the citizen is waking up from his slumber.
Well, we're not going to just sit down and just be watching. They allow me to scatter my script. They are not going to allow me to just watch and just... No.
He scattered his papers.
Look, we respect public offices. That is why we put a lot of infrastructure around them. The president has an entourage. The governors have an entourage. The minister has an entourage. The commissioner has an entourage.
Policemen, outriders.
All those things, they are there because we want to protect that office. But that does not make you the boss. We are protecting the office that we created for you. Thank you very much.
Bam.
All in favor say aye.
Now, we're going to start the program by looking at the Rivers political crisis. Yeah, we mentioned that when we opened the program today. It was one day, one drama.
So when is the grand finale coming? Another thing that we've talked about, mentioned this morning, is Nigeria's inflationary trajectory and exchange rates. Remember, the CBN has made a promise. See how it goes.
2024. Here we come. Lagos State Transport System.
Yeah, what's that all about? Don't keep your gunpowder dry. And then today, we're going to talk about lifestyle. And that's the topic on your screen. Healthy skincare habits. So I saw a video.
Ladies, pay attention.
Even men. I saw a video. One person said scrubbing your body with sponge.
Sponge is bad.
Every day is bad.
They say so.
Oh.
They say you should scrub one day and then use a flannel the next day or something.
English.
Yes, and we shall close with the Artist of the Week segment as is usual.
So, I have had my cocoa this morning. I mixed it with honey.
I'm hoping to have some cocoa when we finish. Thank you very much for joining us this beautiful Saturday morning in which we have seen a little Harmattan haze and a little Harmattan breeze as well. Rivers State has been in a political crisis for a few months following the impasse between the state governor, Sim Fubara, and his predecessor and godfather, former governor Nyesom Wike, who is now the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, FCT, a position which he holds in an all-progressive Congress government. While President Bola Tinubu had earlier...
the fact that he is a member of the opposition. I'm just saying.
Okay. My partner insists that I should stress that he is a member of the opposition party. He's a member of the PDP.
Yeah.
And he's in the APC-led central government.
Which is not the first time it's happening. Bola also held an office in an opposition... Go ahead.
While President Bola Tinubu had earlier waded into the matter, the political tension in Rivers State has now taken another dimension with what happened in the course of the week. I'm sure you will recall that 27 members of the 32 members of the State Assembly defected to the APC in the course of the week, but we understand that 2 of them have since gone back to the PDP. So we have 2 factions now in the State Assembly, and the governor actually presented his appropriation bill to 5 members in the course of the week. So,
and set a world record, because following day it was signed into law.
It was signed, approved by 5 members only out of 32.
If it's a rumor, we'll find out.
Okay. Well, our guest is actually having a little chuckle. And our guest in the studio is Mr. Thangod Nwuga, principal partner of TG Nwuga & Co., a lawyer and an indigene of Rivers State. Good morning.
Good morning.
And we have joining us via Zoom, advisor on security and revenue generation, Rivers State National Coordinator, South-South Leadership Forum, ANAB's Sarah Igbe. Good morning, Mr. Sarah Igbe.
Morning.
Good of you to join us. Mr. Nwuga, you were chuckling when I was doing my introduction. You come from that state. Is all this coming to you as a bit of surprise, seeing as the current governor is actually a godchild of the former governor?
Well, I think it's not a surprise. They didn't come to me as a surprise. Going by the way Wike came to power and going by the system he ran, that system was contradictory. I believe that any system that is founded on contradiction has in it the seeds of its own self-destruction. So when I started writing the Inflation, I wasn't surprised. First of all, I see it in 2 perspectives. Firstly, I see it as a divine intervention in the affairs of men. Secondly, for the former governor, I see it as a case of a chicken coming home to roost after an act of treachery.
Act of treachery?
Treachery, yes.
Yes, you need to explain. Tell us more about that.
Yes, Wiki came to power in 2015 like a hurricane. He swept everybody asunder. He left blood at trail and Rivers people for the past 8 years have been subjugated to his whims, to his caprices. Wike is one governor that demolishes properties of opponents who disagree with him. Wike withdraws certificate of occupancy of properties of dissenting politicians while in church service or even during political rallies. Those who disagree with him are either abused, bullied. He was the emperor. River State was his personal estate.
You know, you're a lawyer. So you understand,
know the implications.
You understand slander.
I do.
He is not here to defend himself. And there is no one here to speak on his behalf.
Yes.
Has any of these cases you are alleging been taken to court?
Yes, I think I have to start from myself personally. When he came in 2015, the first, most of his policies were geared towards dislodging some of the structures put in place by his predecessor. The first thing he did was to stop what we call the TMRF, River State Traffic Management Agency, which came into force by virtue of a law of a state of House of Assembly. The second one, he recognized Celeste Nomea as a former governor, despite the Supreme Court's decision declaring that May had never existed as a governor. I personally went to court. Unfortunately, the judiciary did not do very well at that time. That case was in court for 2 years. In fact, each day it came up. The judge, who is the current chief judge now, ensured that he never sat or he stopped at a case that is next to that one in the list. I was frustrated. Ironically, just because he was good, America supported him that time. He recognized him and conferred all the privileges on him. Now, when Omea disagreed with him, he went to God and asked him, bring back 200 million. You get you. So that is how he has run River State. The only interest that is paramount to Governor Wike has been his interest, and sometimes the interest of his Ikure ethnic, not even Ikure in general, his local government.
Okay, let's ask Mr. Anab Saraigbe, who is with us virtually. How do you open on these issues? There are those who are wondering how the legality of all of these issues, that have happened, the action of the governor, the action of the members of the State House of Assembly and all. How is government internalizing these issues?
Thank you very much. First of all, as elder statesmen, we are looking for how we can make peace in the state, because when there is peace, governance can take place. When there is peace, everybody will go freely. Unfortunately, Mr. President intervened, and Wike said, whatever Mr. President said is not going to abide by it. And ever since then, he has come out with thunder and brimstone. What he will do to this, what he will not do that. First, he asked the assembly members loyal to him to move to APC. And he's a lawyer, he ought to know that move will cost the assembly members their seat.
Mm-hmm. But you also
legal opinion has been
just a second, Mr. Saraigbe. Those legislators in the House of Assembly already came out to say it was a decision they took by themselves and they had nothing to do with the former governor and minister.
My brother, let me tell you, I am a father to some of them. I know they have their personal grievances, but they cannot do what they did without the support of the Godfather. They believe that Wike and Sim are having a problem, and because of that problem, they cash onto that problem to threaten him. Even before the impeachment saga, some commissioners were even threatening the governor, if you do rubbish, we will impeach you. There are all kinds of things. But the governor is a calm person, and I believe strongly that this one man who loves Wike so much and has done so much sacrifice for Wike before he became governor and after he became governor. Up to today, as we're talking, the governor is not disposed to making trouble with the minister. He still see him as father and son of relationship, as I speak to you today. So the minister, because of greed, because of one man who wants to get everything, the first thing he did was to take over the two parties, the APC and the PDP. I have never seen in this of politics, I've been in politics for 4 decades plus. I've never seen where one man belongs to the government in power and be in the opposition. Never. This is the first time one will be in 2 political parties, and the parties cannot even discipline him.
But this is not the first time, Mr. Saraiwe, as I quipped when my colleague was introducing this topic, that we would have an opposition official in government, in a current government. The Lagos State governor at the time, that's the current president, when he was governor of Lagos State, had members of the PDP in his cabinet. And at that same time, during that same period, the Obasanjo government had a Bola Ige, at least, in his government, who was a member of the opposition. So it's not something new, is it?
There is difference between serving in the government and the controlling political parties. Today, as we speak, the PDP reports to Wike. The APC reports to Wike in Rivers State. It's different from him serving in the government of Tinubu. The chairman of the APC reports to Wike. The chairman of PDP reports to Wike. So these are clear facts. When somebody is in control, who wants power, it's not the best, and that is what is leading to some of this problem. The House of Assembly members, 27 of them, 2 by the time came back. And from the way things are going, the Speaker has already declared a seat vacant. The Speaker recognized by law. I will tell you one Anambra State, when Jim Wobodo was going, he brought a successor. And when they disagreed, the successor had 6, Jim Wobodo had 20 something. Jim Wobodo had Namani. Jim Wobodo tried to impeach Namani. And Namani with the 6, make sure they suspend the 27 of Jim Wobodo. And they did that till Jim Wobodo. Namani was able to do his first turn and second turn and left. But in this instance, yeah, he did not only pull the House of Assembly members. I can assure you that more commissioners will leave because he appointed more than 80% of the commissioners in Sim's government. Same just the announcing the commissioners, but the man who recommended and ensured they are there was the governor. In addition, the governor also decide who gets what contract. And before now, you cannot go to government house unless the governor clears with you, clears with his predecessor to say, look, somebody's coming, can I see him or not? But what is the problem, the bone of the problem? Wike has come to tell the world that he's fighting Sim because of Sim wanting to take his structure. And what are the structures? 6 months into elections, after elections, what are structures going to do? We are not close to election. So what are structures going to do? But I will tell you why he's talking about the type of structure he's talking about. Now, before Wike left government, the state was getting IDRO of over 10 billion. When he left, the IDRO came down to 6 billion. And the governor, who was the Accountant General when he was there, began to ask question, why is it coming down? And in the process, he engaged somebody who has passed through that process. So please look at the books for me. Why is my revenue coming down so that I can advise? Then the Commissioner of Finance got to Wike, and Wike got angry. This is a structure. Wike felt the money is collected from the IGR. This boy has come to stop it. And it's taken over 4 billion. So he has come to stop it. Secondly, all the federation account allocation that is coming, Wike before he left, tie all of them to one project or the other and attach it to the bank. So when the money comes, the money goes to the bank collects whatever they want to collect and pay the contractors. Of course, there was no budgetary approval, except we don't even know how much was the contract. So when this governor now felt, how will I run a government? I don't have resources to run a government. He became hostile to the governor, and the governor said, okay, let me resign. If that is the case, the PDP elders prevailed on him not to resign, thinking it would be adverse all over. As soon as that came up, personally, I came on air and advised Mionson Wike, leave this boy alone to govern. Allow him, even if it's your son. I even went as far as giving him references. Now look, Saraki and his father, Saraki, the father, Dr. Saraki, brought his son. But when his ideology and the son don't agree, the son told him, Baba, go arrest. That is father and son. So this, you cannot bring somebody a governor. A seat, very important seat in Nigeria. That was the seat where Odili sat and almost became a president. That was the seat Amechi sat and connived with others to remove a sitting president. That is the seat Wike himself sat and became Superman. So you are asking somebody who's on that seat to be subservient.
Okay.
But the boy is still loyal.
Okay, let's bring it to you, Mr. Uha. Speak to the legality of this entire process. He cited the example of former Governor Jim Obodo and the efforts, that he tried to make. In more recent history, we had what happened in Edo State, where the minority, was literally just said, sat down the majority in the House, and a number of other examples here and there in the country, in this same Fourth Republic. Please help us understand the legality of those actions. We'll speak about other issues, but speak first of all to the legality of it and how that could be ebbing away on our hard-earned, hard-fought for democracy.
Thank you. I think I watched Mr. Femi Falana essay on this channel, discussing this issue. I think he pointedly said the 27 members who defected did not have sound legal advice. I think I believe, most of them feel. If you look at section 109, the introductory part of that section, it used the word shall. That a member of the State House shall vacate his seat if so thing happens, if he changes his political party. Yeah. When the Constitution uses the word shall, it means it's mandatory.
But don't also forget, in that same section, there was another proviso.
I'm coming to that proviso. Okay. Yes, it means it is mandatory. It means at the time you are contemplating on leaving the political party that voted you into the House, you should have in mind that you are gone. You can't eat your cake and have it back. That is the case. All that is required, according to section 2 of that section 109, is for the speaker to give effect to that section. So here, when these young men or men who were elected to serve their people decided to change their party, They cited the reason. Yeah, from what I said, there's a professor. The essence of a professor is to limit the oppression of a particular section of the law. So that professor says, if there is division, but the courts have interpreted the meaning of what constitutes division for the purpose of that section in a plethora of cases.
So there is no such division.
What they are saying is that they don't know who is the national secretary of a PDP. They don't know who is national. That is not division. That is a self-imposed division. The courts have said that division must be such that should affect the entire structure of the party and make it impossible for the party to work. There is no such division in PDP. So when they left, of course the courts, Justice Alagago, had given an order, practically recognizing them and recognizing the speaker, the inflationary speaker, and the other members who have not defected. So
in other words, those members who defected are no longer members of the State Assembly.
From the words of the Constitution, they are no longer members. They know it. From the time they contemplated it. If they had gotten good legal advice, they would have known that why contemplating to do this, you should know you're out.
But there was
in that case, what the governor did by presenting the appropriation bill to only the members who had not defected was correct in the eye of the law.
It was proper because de facto, they were the only recognized members of the House of Assembly in place.
Now, does it also, is the law also on the side of passing that bill on one day, of presenting that bill on one day, taking the bill through the process in 24 hours, and the bill was signed the following day into law?
Well, I am not aware of any law that gives any time frame. I think what is important is the interest of the people. What should we be looking at is this is a state that has the highest number of unemployment. This is a state that has the highest level of insecurity. Any governor elected there should act like a cyclone.
Again, Mr. Wuha, to speak to the law and what is proper. Just a second.
That is why I said.
See, the law will cover quite a number of ministries, departments, and agencies.
Yes.
And it is all for good governance. The law also recognizes the need to service a good number of local government areas in the same state.
Yes.
So, in the eye of rule of law, of good governance, and all of those things, do you think there was due process followed?
Well, from speaking as a lawyer, I think if one might say that the passage was rather very hasty, but is there any law forbidding what they did?
Yeah.
If there's no law forbidding what they did, I won't blame them. I think whatever they did was informed by the exigencies of the moment, which they are privy to. You and I are not. So it is every law has its reasons why it was created.
Okay.
Mr. Saraibe, what do you think about the speed with which the State House of Assembly was demolished? Do you think there were any ulterior motives for that?
Well, the governor or the government has come out with a statement that after the dynamite, it affected the structure, and the place is not conducive enough for them to use as House of Assembly. You know, we have what you call public liability in insurance. If a place is insured and you cannot be able to secure the people who are coming, a third party in particular, and there is an accident, you are liable to it. So if government felt that, look, this place is no longer conducive for them to run the house, well, they can provide an alternative place and demolish and build a new one. Don't forget that the governor is the custodian of all the properties of the government. And as a custodian, he knows what is best for every part of the government, every arm of the government. Okay. And so if they felt that the engineers have so advised them and it is the best interest of the public to rebuild the place, so be it.
Okay.
The legislature has the right to ask governor, oh, why do you destroy? Why do you demolish?
Okay.
Also, he has gone to court to say he wants to renovate the place. And if in the course of renovation, they still see that the best thing is to build a better house and demolish, so be it. So for me, I don't see anything wrong with the demolition of that assembly.
Okay.
That's one aspect of my answer.
Okay, staying with you, sir. I beg your pardon.
You've asked people.
I beg your pardon, Mr. Sarai, but we have to manage our time. We're running out of time. Staying with you, what is the atmosphere like in the state in light of all these happenings, you know, and the rapidity with which they're happening?
Well, Rivers people are not happy with the developments in the state, and 95% of the people are blaming the former governor. They are blaming him in the sense that he had his own 8 years, uninterrupted, nobody disturbed him. He is talking about ingratitude. He was the most man with ingratitude because Jonathan and his wife stood for him against the odds, against every odds that his own brother was just going, and the current man was just going, and he came in to stay. For him to come, there was a big fight. Jonathan and his wife stood. I know how many times Jonathan and his wife approached me to support. Evans Bepe was like the messenger they were using. And when I asked Mr. Jonathan, he said he's a friend to Evans Bepe, and Evans Bepe has spoken so much about him. But today, how did he pay back to Jonathan and his wife? What of the baby that was the errand boy? How did he address his case? He went to took the structure of PDP from G.U. Aki through go round Felix Ogua and Ibibia Walter, using them to lie before the court that they were duly elected in the convention. Whereas that was a total lie. Okay, well, Mr. Arasari, we are. Let's wrap up with solutions and reconciliation. You began, and I was very glad when you mentioned it, by saying that you're a statesman, and as statesman, you have to measure your responses to some of these issues. This is the reality we have on our hands now. For you, what is the way forward so that not only do we see things, do things look peaceful, but they are actually peaceful indeed, and it's not just something that looks it. What would be your recommendation in mending fences across board so that at the end of the day, it is the people of Rivers State that benefit?
Well, the Rivers State Elders Council and the leaders of thought have met, and they have decided to talk to both parties. They've written to Mr. Wike, they've also written to the governor with the view of hearing from both sides and maintain peace.
Okay.
So what we are saying, because the state is tensed up because of several factors, but we believe that we can maintain peace. Wike, as a governor, took over the civil service quarters, allocated it to his friends, sacked them, removed them from their quarters. Permanent secretaries don't have more quarters again. Commissioners don't have quarters again. That is also another anger. And you can see the hand of Wike all over the place. Nobody is quarreling. He's the luckiest man to serve 8 years, dash Rivers people money, so much money, would nobody probing you.
So what, you also mentioned
is why is still loyal to you.
Just 1 second. Just 1 second, Mr. Saraiwe. So you have said that the elders have met and they are making recommendations. How soon do you see this meeting happening?
Well, under George, the leader of the Rivers State Elders of Thought.
Oh dear.
From all of us.
Oh dear, we couldn't just hear you now. We'll come back to you just to take that final thought because we certainly kind of lost that audio. Well, Mr. Uga, let's move forward. For the sake of peace, what would be your recommendation as objectively as you can?
Well, I think a political solution, as suggested by the elder statesman, should be something that should be resorted to. Because to be faster, the governor needs to know his position so that he can start planning and working for Rivers people. The deluge of litigation may not solve the problem. Today, what has happened in court will at the end of the end of a spring court until it is completed. Nobody knows its fate. So if a political solution can be sought and everything amicably settled, so these people can settle down, Assembly can settle down and make law for Rivers people, and the governor can settle down and implement the laws.
Okay, let's see if we can have Mr. Sarigwe's last comments. So, Mr. Sarigwe, if you can hear me, when is that meeting likely to happen between, that is being called by the elders?
Well, the elders are reaching to
we still can't hear him.
The leader council ability to but yes, okay, president government.
Sorry, Mr. Sarah.
It all depends. Yes.
Okay. It all depends on what?
I said it all depends on when they will respond.
Okay. All right. Okay.
The meeting.
All right.
Okay.
If the judge today is the most senior former governor in the state.
Okay.
Minus Yete Spiff. If he's calling the meeting and they honor him, I think we can get somewhere.
Thank you very much. Before I say thank you to both our guests this morning, I'd just like to remind you all that when Edo State had crisis with godfatherism and godsonism, you will recall what Nyesom Wike's reaction was and how vehemently he stood behind Obaseki and actually encouraged him to break away from his godfather. So I leave you to be the judge, and I leave you to interpret what I have just said, whichever way you want. I'll just say thank you to Mr. Anabs Sarah Ibe, advisor on security and revenue generation, who joined us via Zoom from Rivers State. And we had in the studio, thank God, Unga, principal partner, TG Unga and Co., a lawyer and an indigene of Rivers State. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
And sorry about all that's going on in your state. We hope that everything will be resolved very quickly.
Let me just make a correction.
Yes, sir.
I was a security advisor, not a current security advisor.
Oh, okay.
I was a security advisor under Odili, so Dr. Peter Odili.
Former.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much.
Former, yeah, so, no.
Sunrise will return in just a moment with another interesting conversation. Do stay with us.
That's our next conversation. Thank you for staying with us. The Central Bank of Nigeria has said that the country's inflation rate and the pressure on the exchange rate will reduce in the coming year. That is 2024. What's today's date? Today is 16. That's less than half a month from now.
2 weeks plus.
Okay, but no. They said 2024. That it could be December. Let me hope not.
Okay.
Let me hope not. But,
all right.
While the country's inflation rate jumps to 27.33 for November, the highest in 18 years, the Apex Bank's governor, Olayemi Cardoso, projects a slump in 2024. He made this comment during a presentation to the National Assembly Joint Committees on Banking, Insurance, and Other Financial Institutions and Banking Regulations on the activities of the bank, the CBN, and the performance of the Nigerian economy. He also said the country is expecting less oil revenue in the new year owing to several factors. Well, maybe when we talk about energy. By the way, it's in the news today that Ghana's inflation rate reduced by 8.8%.
By 8? Well, so there's hope for us.
There is hope for us. So, but how all of this is going to go, let's have this conversation with two gentlemen with us this morning. Emmanuel Onasami is lead partner, Cardinal Professional Economy. He's an economist. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much for having me.
And we also have joining us virtually, Gospel Obele, who is a chief economist, Streetnomics. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
Let me begin with Economics 101 to both of you this morning. For those who are hearing inflation rate is high, and then they go irate on the government and all of that, what does it mean when you say inflation? Let me begin with you, Mr. Onasami. When you say inflation, what should the Nigerian understand inflation to mean?
Okay, I'm also pro-clarity, you understand?
Okay.
In the sense that, you can be carried away with your technical jargon and you lose everybody and they are unable to relate with whatever, the statistic is churning out. You just said the headline inflation is 27.33. What does it mean to an average person, sitting down in the sitting room, and how do I understand that? I think it will be good to have to first speak about what inflation is. You understand, a layman understanding of inflation. Inflation simply speaks to situation where prices of goods as services are rising periodically. So you see month on month, they keep reviewing it and say, okay, what was the prices of goods and services in different sector, and then from that perspective, they compare it and then say, okay, last month was this figure, this month was this figure, and then whether there's an increase or decrease, but in the case of Nigeria, not like Ghana, in November we had an increase in inflation, and when inflation happens, what then means is that your purchasing power as an individual then reduces. You understand? Meaning that what you could buy last month with, say, 100 naira, you can no longer purchase that same thing.
So, in other words, let's say, hypothetically, a cup of gari or a bucket of gari in the market was 50 naira.
Say in October.
Yeah. So it has increased now by 27.33% on the average.
Okay, the headline inflation is actually year on year, but if you look at the month on month, maybe like 300 basis points or 3.72 increase.
Here we go.
Okay, last Christmas we were buying chickens at what? 4,000 naira.
Yes,
this year,
Alero could relate better because that's our department.
This year we're buying chickens at 12,000. Turkeys have gone from 35 to 65,000.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that's what is making sense to the common man on the street.
So that is the year on year,
Yes.
and headline inflation says little about what the situation is, because the headline inflation is like a statistical average of all the inflation across all the sectors. So,
okay, let me see if that's the same way Mr. Obele understands what inflation to mean. Help us understand. Do you agree with him, or you want to add a twist?
Yes, I do agree with him. And to a very large extent as well. I think there's also some form of miscommunication in the jargon, which sometimes can be a leverage point for professionals, in the sense that, when you talk about inflation rates went up by 2% or 3% in terms of the month-on-month difference, it doesn't necessarily mean that the prices have gone down. It just simply means that the pace at which prices are increasing has slowed down. So prices are still increasing, but the pace has slowed down. All right. So he's very correct to say that the headline is just year-on-year comparison. You also have month-on-month comparison as well. But overall, it's safe to say that the price of bread in Nigeria has increased significantly. The price of gari and sugar and all those basic things. So if the average Nigerian is spending more amount or more sides of their income to just have a daily, to just, be able to survive, trying to be able to meet basic necessities. It technically means that there's a pain, across the board. That means people are spending more to eat, to put a roof over their head, and that's also sort of, leads to some of poverty in the sense that people cannot have so much to fund their dreams and aspirations.
And that's
and
actually
constrained.
Yeah, my apologies. And that's actually, quite strong a statement you just made, particularly in the light of what came up in the news in the past few, maybe 1 or 2 weeks, that people prefer to go to what is referred to on the streets as loan sharks, just to get a loan to feed. And that's really, really troubling. But when the CBN projects a reduction in inflation, and you've also already given us an idea that projection of a reduction in inflation doesn't mean that the prices are down. It's just that it slows down. The increase slows down from, say, 100 kilometers per hour to maybe 60 kilometers per hour. I'm trying to put it in perspective as well.
Yes,
so in that light, do you see that happening in the light of the projection of the CBN?
Well, to be very honest with you, I don't see that happening. The reason is because for you to envisage that projection would technically mean that there are strong structural, solutions or reforms, that are being put in place right now that we can't see. All right. So part of the reasons why we have so much inflationary problem in the Nigerian context is we're not producing enough that we can, sort of meet local demand for food at the quality and at the quantity, two different dynamics. Then you also have a situation where we are a strongly import-dependent economy. No country can really beat inflation if it's a consumption-driven economy, all right? You need a level of productivity. The same thing as well with the exchange rate and all that. No currency can gain value on the grounds of, consumption, all right? So you need a strong level of productivity at base in local economy. Produce what you eat, and you can produce it at the quality and at the scale for the 200 million plus Nigerians that is now. Once we begin to do that, and we can begin to lead the charge around made in Nigeria, consuming locally and reducing import inflation and all the dynamics, then we can also control how global events like the Russia-Ukraine war, COVID-19, climate change, and all that globally are impacting commodity prices, which generally means impacting the cost of wheat, soya, bean, grain, and all those things, and in turn impacting the goods and services that are being imported to the Nigerian economy. All right, so we need to deal with the productivity drivers. Once the productivity and structural elements are dealt with, and we can produce food at scale. All right, you imagine the level at which the average Nigerian will find relief in terms of being able to save more amounts of monies and all that. You also want to look at locally in terms of access to from farm to market. What does it cost moving a full? There's a local government in Benue State where they produce yams only. But the cost of moving those yams from Benue State to Mount Tobu, Lagos, is way more expensive than the cost of producing the yam itself in Benue. I didn't even get it. So once we begin to deal with the farm to market challenges, you also realize that all of these costings will slash down. You also want to think about the fuel subsidy conversation. How prices of diesel, fuel, and all that have skyrocketed in recent times. So the high cost of transportation is also impacting on the cost of mobility or cost of moving food items from farm to market. So the conversation on inflation in Nigeria is a play of very interdependent factors that to a very large extent are still hinged on the lack of productivity we have in the country. All right, and also the policy inconsistencies that we found in recent times that are impacting on prices and the movement of food, goods, and services.
Mr. Anasame, what are your thoughts about that?
Yeah.
Are we going to achieve this as the CBN has said in 2024?
What Gospel was trying to say, sometimes we need to be more frantic with ourselves and not deceive ourselves as an economy, you understand, as a nation. The truth is that if you don't get the fundamentals right, your inflation will never drop. And when I say the fundamentals, these are the factors of production. The factors that can lead to productivity. Look at the Nigerian environment. Everything that contributes to production has gone haywire when it comes to price. And if that is the case, you understand, then the cost of production will be high, and then the cost of product will be high. If you go back to the textbook and evaluate the Nigerian environment very clearly, what has been established is that the inflation we are experiencing in Nigeria is a food-led cost push inflation. So let me break it down for the benefit of our audience. So when I say food-led, is because they are saying that the reason the inflation is going up is because food prices have gone up. So if I'm a service provider, I'm providing service to Alero now, maybe as a consultant, and the price I need to buy my food has gone up, I will tell Alero, you need to increase my fee.
Yes.
No matter what
service I'm providing to.
Because you have got to eat.
I've got to eat. Yeah. So food-led cost push, you understand? Cost push in the sense that, the factors of production has gone bad. Look at when the cost of procuring forex for import, because largely we are still an import-dependent nation. Cost of procuring forex has almost doubled, or even not more than 4 times, you understand? And then you look at power. You understand? Removal of fuel subsidy also came in, where, businesses have to struggle to cost of powering their business has also gone up. So if you want to look at it, I saw a video on the social media where one of these Nollywood celebrity was making a skit on why the price of egg is also skyrocketing, and what the person doesn't understand that in the agriculture as we have it today in Nigeria is not as efficient as it ought to be run. If you look at other climes, you don't need generator to run a farm. You use the waste generated in that farm to power the farm, because there are government structures that have put things in place to ensure that farming is done more efficiently and food price can go down,
Now, what you just said now, it means that all of the apparatus of government need to work in synchrony somewhat. The analogy in my head is that of the human body.
True.
It's a very, very complex machine. It has 37 trillion parts. 37 trillion parts. Each cell, we are made up of 37 trillion parts in body, bones, and blood cells. The engine of the federal government has 1,500 plus ministries, departments, and agencies. The total population of staff of the federal government, I don't think is up to 2 million.
At all.
Now, we have an engine, a human body, that has 37 trillion cells. We have a federal government engine that is less than 2 million parts. They need to work in synchrony. That's what I hear you saying, if everything is supposed to. So what are the things that the CBN must champion to get all of that engine, the different parts of that engine of the federal government working in sync? So that these things that you're saying can...
True, and in the past, the CBN has dabbled into the areas that they are not supposed to dabble into.
Well, thankfully, they said they are retracing their steps.
So CBN is primarily responsible for monetary policies.
They are repentant.
Okay, they're not repentant. And when it comes to monetary policies, you speak to, interest rate and managing inflation within the economy, which is their primary duty, you understand. And managing inflation, is not just a one-time bullet. Is something that you have to look at an holistic perspective. What are the short-term measures that we will put in place? What are the medium to long-term measures that we also put in place as a government? And that's where all agencies, parastatals, ministry has to come together and then say, if we want to, on a long-term basis, we have to start making the Nigeria environment friendly for production. You understand? And let me tell you, as of today, Manufacturing Association of Nigeria, the body language is that it's cheaper to do nothing than to manufacture in Nigeria. It's just cheaper to do nothing than to manufacture in Nigeria because all the contributors of production are no longer friendly. It's not just
if, from what we hear, manufacturers have to pay as many as 37 different taxes, then we will tend to agree that it's cheaper to do nothing than do all that work producing and then have to pay 37 different taxes.
More so, there are some other aspects of economy that suggest to you that why do you have to stress? Even when you are doing something that much and you're getting nothing, and somebody can just sit in the comfort of his own, do some forex transaction, and then the person is super rich. You understand? Those fundamentals are there that are not encouraging investment. I'm going somewhere because I have to say this. It's not just enough that you have inflation. it is good that as an economy you bite an inflationary impact once and you maintain a stability. Because I tell you the fact that it's not so much about the charade of going to Dubai, going to Saudi Arabia to go and woo investors that will bring the investment into the Nigerian economy. It is the stability of your economy that will attract foreign direct investors. You understand? Let me give you an example. You are coming in as an investor. Today, inflation rate is 27.33 headline, and you have planned your fundamentals based on that. You have planned that this is how I'm going to do business. And if it's stable like that, that means you can come into the environment and do business reliably. But in the situation where inflation figures keeps rising months on months, and you are at the risk that the economy will slide into hyperinflation. And when there's hyperinflation, there will be economic recession. People cannot purchase your product and services. You can never attract any investment that way. So it's not so much about the charade of going around seeking investment. It's about you sitting down locally and tell yourself that, what do I need to do to maintain my fundamentals in a manner that can attract investment?
Mr. Obele, the issue of the Forex, I'm guessing that is the reason why even foreign airlines are threatening to leave Nigeria. How do you think we can shore up the value of our Naira? Or what do you think that CBN will have to do in 2024 to make their promise real?
Thank you very much, Alara, for the question. I will answer that question from two different angles. The first angle is this. It's important to create context to say that the value of a currency is hinged on at least two conditions in the times we live in now globally. The first necessary condition is the fact that you have a productive economy. You have a productive, thriving local economy attracting investment. So meaning that, people can easily buy and sell, exchange value, goods and services and all of that. Your economy is a production powerhouse. And we already have that. We're close to about 40. When I mean we already have that, we have a potential of 41 million SMEs in Nigeria who have a potential to really scale what they're doing, right? And you want to think of that because in terms of global branding and all that, if you look at the value of the Nigerian budget is less than 1/3 of the global value of the Apple brand, for instance, and that is just one business. All right, so if you think of how much 10% of that 41 million businesses, if enabled right within the productivity lines, can thrive in terms of what the value of what they can bring to the table and all that, you'll be surprised to see that the currency would be, much more better than it is today. Secondly, if you want to think about power and all of these different dynamics, if you fix power and all of these little infrastructural questions, the Naira will improve by almost 50 to 70%. All right. Part of what we're dealing with right now locally is the fact that we're not a productive economy. Once you fix the productive drivers, the Naira will begin to gain value because you can now facilitate exchange of goods and services more easily within and across borders. The second sufficient condition is the fact that we are not institutionally driving our monetary policy in such a way that the outlook of the Naira itself is positive within the African and global landscape. All right, if you look at what is happening right now with the dollars, with the pounds and euros, there is a global monetary / political arrangement and movement, all right, to strengthen the currencies globally within markets now. And it's what we term as currency wars, all right? And that's why more nations are trying to come into the BRICS environment. And then, looking at conversations of having a BRICS currency, to trade on. You're having conversations of China trying to bring the yuan to the global trade table to say any sort of exchange you facilitate in the Chinese economy has to be done in yuan and not the dollars. You're having conversations of the AFCFTA saying that we need to have a direct exchange between the Naira and the shillings and not with a third party. So there is so much friction around currency dynamics globally right now. So the central bank, outside just facilitating a productive economy, the fiscal authorities also need to strategically manage and lobby for the positioning of the Naira within the African market, at least to start with. Now, on the second block of trying to respond to this question is looking at our low-hanging fruits. All right, globally, global goods, global services traded in the past 1 year surpassed global goods traded by 15%. All right, first time in donkey years and in decades that we've had global digitally services traded items, surpassing global goods traded, and that's to tell you that we are in the world of services, sort of in terms of exchange of value globally across markets now. And the Nigerian GDP has about 56 composition of the services sector. But right now, we do not have a strategic national services policy. There are lots and lots of Nigerians who are constantly freelancing, doing work on Fiverr, exchanging and all of that services across borders, every day. But there's no room to track that. All right, we don't have a services policy to say, can we take this services market, by the way, which needs a lot of organization, and strategic, positioning, not necessarily formalization. All right, so can we take that services block and promote it, and then facilitate that exchange within and across borders, such that there's a pipeline to track how much FX is moving within that flow, and how the government can also, make good returns from it. So, organizing the services sector and also supporting loads of SMEs who are already export ready. There's a study we did with the Faith Foundation called the State of Entrepreneurship Report in Nigeria. Lots of SMEs in Nigeria are ready to export, but they cannot find the necessary one-stop shop environment that helps them facilitate access to market solutions, access to finance solutions, the necessary documentations that they need to take their products from Nigeria and ensure that those products are in Tesco, United Kingdom, and people actually buying those chocolates and all of that. So, why should Nigeria have the highest production in cocoa, in tomatoes and all of that, and yet we cannot still export chocolates? Not because there are no SMEs who are not doing that in terms of producing chocolates locally, but there is no mechanism to scale and help those people get their chocolates within Sainsbury's in the UK and all the likes. All right, so there has to be a very, very clear definition in terms of how do we support more SMEs to access markets within the African and global scale. And we also need to support the services block, thrive in terms of having a foreign exchange pipeline through which we can organize what they're doing and have a percentage cut to say that this is how much comes into the government coffers. Right. We also have the diaspora remittances market. Sorry to say, just 30 seconds. Right. You have the diaspora market, where remittances are almost up to the tune of $27 billion annually. All right, and all of these pennies go into welfarist funding in terms of consumption for brothers and sisters and relatives back home. All right, so if we can tap into that diaspora remittances block, you realize that there is a lot of FX possibilities to finance lots of investment narratives back. So the possibilities and low-hanging fruits are already there. We just need to channel right to the right possibilities, right political will, transparency and accountability at the very least, to facilitate the onboarding into the mainstream.
Well, that transparency thing, you just flagged Alero here, on that one. But let me come to you, Mr. Nelson. Because the reason is that, earlier on, we were having conversations around ease of doing business. Both of you have been talking about our productivity and all of that. But then there's the issue of ease of doing business, whether or not anyone who invests money in any business in the country will actually, be happy at the end of the day. Talking about exportation and people exporting out of the country, it's one of the things a number of people who have attempted or who still do it complain about is the corruption in the system that is militating significantly against our capacity to produce, to export, and bring forex into the country. A good number of people who will tell you, look, the only reason they cannot export is because some people will insist that they should exchange hands, one way or the other. And this perhaps speaks to some of the issues you are raising about the inhibitions in limitations, inhibitions, whatever, that is not allowing businessmen to thrive in the country. That will definitely have a serious telling on forex into the country. How do we deal with that?
You took that comment out of my mouth. He was saying there's a gain, from the exports of services, and that is fine. We have a number of talented Nigerians sitting in their rooms and then providing services offshore, and then they bring in forex. Not to say that the the part of exporting tangible goods is also not very important, because services, yes, although it's very easy to do, but it doesn't help your productive sector like that. You understand? Services cannot really employ people like production will employ people. See, for example, in manufacturing, FCMG, in Nestle, a Coca-Cola, see the number of people working within those facilities, and that is how you get your people employed. But one person just working inside this room will not stimulate, and help you with your unemployment figures. That's why your point is very, very important. Nigeria today still operates the most inefficient port system in Nigeria, not because there are no brains in the world, not because there are no brain, not because there are no technology that can help us to get better efficient, but because it appears the system is just designed to work that way. Because if you look at one of the bane of development in Nigeria is because we don't have strong institutions, we don't have strong agencies. Everybody appointed to drive the affair of agency is either running the bid or interest of so-so party in a manner that, some things cannot be done the way they have to be done based on competence. Look at our port system. The regime before the regime we have now, the ease of doing business project was a major thing. But I tell you the truth, you can have all the textbook, things that you want to put out there. If there's no political will for you to implement them, you go around circles. Right. So until our politicians get transparent and they get sincere on whether they want to help Nigerians or not, then we may not be making the right progress. You understand? The problem of Nigeria is not novel like that. The problem of Nigeria is not out of the moons. You understand? It's basic. And when you have sincere people that are ready to help us get out of this system, I think we'll get out of it. I have businesses that I consult for that are into export business, and let me tell you, most of them are clearly diversified because of the inefficiency going on there. You want to export a product and the product is still there 2 months, it has not left the shore of Nigeria. In fact, the product is getting spoiled and damaged inside the container. So how do you want to run those kind of business and say you want to bring in forex into the economy? The system is so much designed such that you incur demurrages, you incur penalties, and at the end of the day, it's just not attractive for you to do export business. So there has to be something deliberate to make the port efficient if we really want to get production stimulated and export for the purpose of earning forex.
The port is like an organ of the body that also has so many cells. So there is SON, there is customs, there's NAFDAC, and all those things. Are these the elements you're talking about?
Yeah, those are part of the issues, and customs itself, which are part of. So the way other climes have organized this, you understand? You see, in Nigeria, NAFDAC is pulling you one hand, this agency is pulling you another end, this person wants this interest and all that. At the end of the day, you are the business that is bearing the brunt. But if you look at, for example, in the United Kingdom, you have the tax authority and the custom under one agency. You understand? Under one agency, so that whatever you want to do as custom is also in sync with tax. Okay. But in Nigeria, you see, customs will say that, you undervalue your products because you don't want to pay high tariff or custom charges, your duty, you understand? But the tax authority will say, no, you overprice your product because you don't want to pay less taxes. At the end of the day, the businesses are fighting. Well, the business that will suffer the tax.
Let's wind down quickly, even though Victor just said that, and I quote, sent this on X. I'm sure those 37 taxes Anti-Alero mentioned does not include Agbero taxes, the phase 2. Let's close with you, Mr. Obele. What would you advise the Nigerian on the streets, because that's where your own nomics is? What would you advise the Nigerian about all of these issues? What should be the position of the Nigerian to encourage what we all want and not just to lament?
So I would encourage them for the average Nigerian to realize that every crisis is an opportunity when looked at again from the right lens. Okay. And that would mean that there is need for them to begin to diversify, the income streams. As much as possible, do not play in very inflationary exposed sectors. if you have to play there, you have to look for a creative way, to tap into, to switch your business model. So, for instance, you sell bowls of soups as a business or as a food business, an MSME. You want to look at how you can scale that into food security and run an access to market solution via tech and all that. So there are ways to diversify income streams, and the goal is just to have a different perspective about the situation.
Okay. We have to thank you, gentlemen, for coming this morning. All I hear is from you both is that there is hope, because at least we can identify what the problems are, and if we do the things that will checkmate those problems, and they'll be resolved. Gospel Obele, Chief Economist, Streetnomics, thank you so much for your time this morning, as well as Mr. Emmanuel Onosami, Lead Partner, Cardinal Professional Economy. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you.
All right, so the show continues right after this break. Do stay with us.
You're always on my mind. Oh, I did for you, my friend. I know that I don't text enough, but you're always on my mind.
Thank you for staying with us. Now let's talk about transportation in Lagos State. The Lagos State transport system grapples with a myriad of challenges, reflecting the complex nature of urban mobility in one of Africa's most populous cities. The rapid urbanization and population growth have contributed to congestion on roadways, making it imperative for the state to address transportation inefficiencies. Inefficient public transport infrastructure and the prevalence of traffic gridlocks hinder the seamless movement of people and goods. To navigate these challenges and chart a way forward, Lagos State must focus on a comprehensive and sustainable solution. To talk to us about this morning, it's my pleasure to welcome the SA to the Lagos State Governor on Transportation, Mrs. Shola Giwa. Or is it Mr.? Mr. Shola Giwa. I apologize. Good morning, Mr. Giwa. How are you?
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much.
I feel for you because it appears that Lagos is urbanizing too fast. The population is growing too fast. But it's your job to find a solution, no matter how fast the population grows and no matter how fast urbanization happens. So, what are the things that Lagos State is looking at to make sure that goods and services and people, I'm talking about over 20 million of us, move around seamlessly and without headaches?
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be here. Well, like you said, the reward for good work is small work.
Exactly.
And that is what we face as a state. That's what we face. Lagos is a borderless city. We do not have visas for people that's coming in. There's no way we can control who comes in. The more work the government is doing, providing infrastructure, healthcare, and security, the more people will move to Lagos, and we cannot stop them. However, as a state that is resilient with the capable hands of the governor, a lot is going on. And then to solve this major issue that we know, we see as a challenge to be overcome and to continue like that, is what is presently we're doing. That is the putting in what is called the integrated intermodal transportation system. Intermodal in the sense of rail, waterways, and road networks. And as you can see, the first one here, we have, let me start with the road. You can see our road network. We have over 9,000 road network in Lagos, and that is also increasing. So for ease of movement, you know that we started the BRT system that is expanding now. And then, of course, we have the waterways. We have over 40 jetties now. But I can tell you about 15 local government in Lagos has connection with the waterways. And then, as you've just seen, the blue line has been commissioned, and the second phase has also been awarded. And very soon, like the governor said, the red line that will link Lagos and Ogun is almost done. In fact, next week, one of the overhead bridges that is linking this will be commissioned by Mr. Governor next week. So, and all these modes of transportation is being joined for effective movement of people. However, like you said, there will always be that rush. And then the Lagos movement is a lateral movement from in the morning from the mainland to the island, in the evening from the island to the mainland. And that's what you see, that heavy traffic. So what we're doing here, under the supervision of the governor, is to make sure that people move seamlessly. That is, you can be able to determine if I'm going from, say, Oshodi to Aja, I can calculate how much time I'll take, and that is it. So once you can predict what it will take you to move from point A to B, I think that's the best thing we're trying to put in place. So for us, we know the enormity of what it takes to be a mega city, and then we'll put in everything to make it work, and that's what we're doing.
Well, Mr. Giwa, I'm glad that you talked about some of the issues that you have spoken about, because we understand that as Special Advisor Transport, you work with all transport law enforcement agencies in Lagos, including LASMA and VIO, Task Force, and the rest of them. There are issues that I'm sure you're aware. One of those issues a number of people have been talking about is that famous or infamous 1,000 naira levy of sorts that people are supposed to pay as is it proof of ownership or something like that on an annual basis. Talk to us about that, because there are those who have come forward to say, who are even specialists in the sector, who have come forward to say, question the legality of that, and that if people indeed go to court with it, the Lagos state government may not be smiling.
Thank you for that question. So basically, I would love not to talk about it because I am aware that it has become a subject of litigation. So it will be subject to speak to it. Please.
Okay.
But people are still having to pay it, right?
So like I said, it has been subject to litigation. So commenting about it will be subjudice.
What made it? I'm sorry.
Rich.
What made it subjudice is okay. The question she asked is simple, and I don't think that this is subjudice. Are people still paying that 1,000 naira?
To the best of my knowledge, I think yes.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. Could you just shed more light on the plans to ease traffic, especially in this Yuletide period?
Thank you. So basically what we're doing, we started this since October. So we know that once the Ember months come, people come to Lagos to come and trade. And then, so let me give you an idea of the traffic pattern in Lagos as compared to that of the nation. And I've said it severally. For a kilometer of road in Lagos, there are over 400 vehicles on the kilometer of road in Lagos. The average of the nation is about 32. So you can imagine having over 400 vehicles on 1 kilometer of road. You know what that is? You will have to move cautiously. However, we are trying to take away that traffic onto the rail and encourage people to use the waterways. So let me give you an example. From Aja to Ikorodu, by waterways, it's just about 10 minutes. So we are encouraging people to use that facility. It is safe, it is reliable, it is fast. That is one. So we have started the usual practice of advocacy, which is what we have been. In fact, yesterday, for the last 1 week, we had something that the female gender of LASMA have been going out to cities, to parks, telling them that please obey traffic law. Whether you like it or not, there will always be traffic in Lagos. How do I mean? People will always come to Lagos. 75% of business done in Nigeria is based in Lagos. The fuel that everyone consumes, 90% of it is lifted from Lagos. Even the cargo that is leaving and coming to Lagos, that's coming to Nigeria, comes through Lagos, and they all of them are using the road. Just a tiny fraction of the containers that are leaving Lagos is using the rail line. So government will invest more in the rail line. Rail lines will move people faster, and like I said, by the time the red line starts working, you can imagine the red line moving from Oyingbo to Ogun State. You know the kind of movements that would do. So it's going to ease congestion on the road. However, what we continue to tell people is obey traffic laws. It is better to be safe than to be in a hurry. Do not ride against traffic. If you see traffic, just hold on. There's something that is causing at the front. So let me give you an example, ma. If you wait in traffic to buy gala and that costs you 1 hour, if you do, that costs you 1 minute. If you do the calculation based on how we calculate traffic pattern, it will cost another 5 minutes traffic, and then another 1 hour to clear. That is sometimes, I don't know if you have noticed, you will be in traffic, and by the time you get to the end of the traffic, you see, what is the cause of this traffic? Yeah. It is that person that has stopped to buy gala or buy coconuts on the road that is causing that traffic. Talk less of a breakdown on the road, which is very common here. So what we do is we have deployed rescue equipment to strategic places that we know that usually there's breakdown of trucks or all these articulated vehicles, and our advocacy is ongoing. For us, it is not about arrest. It is about letting the people know, letting the people buy into the idea of patriotism, idea of being patient on the road, no road rage. Be careful, be aware that there's another person that is driving. There's someone on the walkway. There's someone about to cross the road at the zebra crossing. So that is it. So for us here, it is more of the advocacy than the enforcement.
Okay. Before I ask my next question, just to make a little comment on what you have just spoken about. Street trading is banned in Lagos State. So you cannot give me excuse of somebody buying gala and causing traffic. Now to my question. We're talking about mass transit. You have to move 10, 15 million people in Lagos State. And we have Danfo buses on the roads, and we have Korope on the roads. How many can they move at a time? You are moving millions every day. Or rather, the intention is for millions to be moved with respect, seamlessly, every day. So what use is this bus that can only carry what? 6 people, 7 people, 14 people?
Thank you, Alero. So, like I said again, the intention, the determined intention of government of Lagos State is mass transit. And that is why even our boats are the ones that are carrying 40, 50 people. And then the buses were encouraging investors to buy. Government cannot do it all. So I'm using this opportunity to say that if you want to invest in our buses, in our bus system, you can reach out to Lamata. So what we've been doing is that we have we franchise routes to people, operators that have big buses. That's what we are encouraging. However, going back to your Danfo, the idea is that don't forget that it was more Lue before. And what happened at the end of the day, by the time we bring in the BLT buses, if you remember when we started in 2007 there about, naturally they will leave. So if you look at it, the area now, say where our blue line is walking from CMS to mile 2, it has reduced, and naturally it will go. Nobody will see a very good, efficient, fast, and safe transportation and opt for that. So we are encouraging investors to come in and bring standard buses that is can carry at least about 170 people capacity buses to invest in that sector. We are providing the necessary environment for them, for their business to thrive, and we'll continue to do that. However, on our part too, we're doing that. So on the issue of the Korope really are not supposed to be on the express road. We are working right now with Lamata to move them to join our first and last mile buses. That is, they will be serving the inner roads. That is, for example, you live somewhere in Badore, so the Koro place will move you from Badore to Aja, where you will jump either on our BRT buses that take you to where you are going. So that is the plan. That is what and very soon we are coming out with that announcement. I'm sure in less than 1 month that will come into effect. For the danfos, if you look at it, really, most of them, they don't even come. They do not even come for registration. We have been arresting them. We will not stop until we get them to comply with the Lagos State Transportation Law. They do not do VIS test. They don't come to register their vehicles. The drivers are not registered. And we'll come hard on them. We will definitely come on them. However, as much as we want to enforce this, we are aware of the situation in the country. So therefore, we are trying as much as possible to put an human face to whatever it is we're doing.
Mr. Giwa, if we are going to consider human face and all of that, it's a good thing, very humane of government. But if we have been able to become hard on those who violated the urban plans of Lagos, pulling down their houses, no, not just their houses, estates, and so many people, just having to line up because they recognize that they have broken the law and consequently there is nothing that can be done about them. How more seriously would you be contending with Okada riders, street traders, and all those things? Well, we'll leave you to that. But there's an impending good problem, if I can put it that way. The Dangote refineries is located within the Lagos State Territory, Lekki Free Trade Zone and all. Now, what we understand is that the refinery will be loading almost 3,000 trucks of petroleum products per day, 2,900 every single day. And there are those who are wondering, and of course, if they have to pass through the roads, that same Lekki road, which the people there now are still, having issues contending with. What is the plan to ensure that road transport, particularly in the Lekki axis, doesn't get any worse? Are there plans to construct some kind of rail service to ensure that this good problem is dealt with in a good way and it also brings revenue to the state government? What's the plan?
So, thank you very much. Before it came on board, we know the issue we have in Apapa. But to forestall that, in the last 1 year, we have been working with Lagos Free Trade Zone and all the occupants of that axis, of the Free Trade Zone. So we have come up with an e-call-up system that will work, that all the operators in that axis, including Dangote and Lagos Free Zone and Pinnacle and every other person that is working there in the port. So we are working with the MPA. So we've set up a committee and that's brought up what is called an e-call-up system. It has been given to a company that will run it. So we have identified parks outside, about 30 kilometers outside of the port area itself, of the Free Trade Zone. So vehicles that are coming, either it is a wet cargo or a dry cargo, will have to go into those parks and will be called into the Lekki Free Trade Zone or each of the ports or each of the terminals based on the request of those parks and also on the situation of the road. So this time around, it's not like Apapa that has been working before we put the system there. So the system is in place now, and I'm using this opportunity to call everyone that is in this zone that Lagos State is serious about it. The governor has given us the mandate to make sure that the lives of people around that axis is improved instead of giving them a hard life. So we here in the Ministry of Transportation, we are poised to do the best to make sure that axis do not turn to Apapa, even though we are working on Apapa right now to get it back. But when things have already gone bad, it is hard to bring it up. But we know it's an uphill task, and we'll get it right. So we are prepared for that. We are prepared already. We have a call-up system in place, and we have been working with them.
Okay, Mr. Gill, I'm glad that you mentioned Apapa in talking about this, because we understand that Apapa is in lockdown all over again. These trucks and trailers and tankers are just determined to make the lives of those who have their businesses and those who reside there, just to make their lives miserable.
Let me get to it. Just let me get to it. So basically, in the axis of Mile 2, so when you're talking about Papa, there are two. There's the Tinker axis and there are Papa.
Both axes.
Yes.
Both Ijora and Tinker.
I know.
Yeah.
In fact, as at 2 a.m. yesterday, I was still in that Papa. We've been able to get to the root of the cause of Papa, because we've been able to get a Papa right. However, some unscrupulous businessmen was using fake plate number. They have about 3-4 plate numbers per vehicle. So we are monitoring only one, and I'm saying this openly. And they are using fake. So it's not as if they are doing fake call-ups, but one person has 3 plate numbers, and one person has 3 MSS, minimum safety standard stickers. You get it down. So instead of booking one, they will book 3, and they will be selling it, and then everybody will be rushing. So, however, we've been able to live. In fact, the park that was doing this has been closed down as at this morning, and more will be. It's just like criminals always want to circumvent the system, and we will always be proactive. And my discussion with the residents of Apapa, we were caught sleeping, and that will not happen again. However, for the side of Mile 2 axis, it is the wet cargoes, and I'm calling them out, the tank farm owners, that is giving us a major issue. We've been having meeting with the tank farm owners, Nupeng, PTD, severally, that they should get into a call-up system. Because what is happening now, a truck will be coming all the way from Zamfara, coming to Depot A to come and load. Depot A do not have a space for them to stay. And when these guys get on the road, they want to enter Depot A. Depot A that has collected body from them do not even have fuel. So what happens? They stay on the road. And because of the volatility of their trucks, it is hard. However, we have told them, in fact, the Commissioner for Transportation made a statement yesterday that we are coming hard on them. We will not allow them to block our roads. Whatever it is, we are going to do. We will do it to make sure that they leave that road. The road was constructed with billions of taxpayers' money, and we will not allow them to stay on that road. We will definitely move them, whatever it takes.
Mr. Giwa, how much smart transportation solutions are being incorporated in transport management in the state?
Oh, a lot is being done presently as regards that. Like I said, I'll give you one. For our intermodal transportation, we have the Cowrie card. The Cowrie card is one you will use first. You can use it on a lag bus, a lag ride, a first mile, on the ferry, and also on the train. And that will also be integrated into the train as it comes up. That is one. Also, we have started using technology in capturing. We have the ANPR, automatic number plate recognition system, that picks your vehicle if your vehicle has committed an offense. However, we have this issue of proof of address. Most people now, when they register their vehicle, they're not even registering with the right address. So we are working seriously on that with Lagos's LASRA, Lagos's registration agency, to make sure that everyone that registers in Lagos will have the proof of their address. So when you commit an offense and we cannot get you, definitely when you come to re-register, or based on the background, based on the information you have that has been proven, we can apprehend you. That's one. Also, for our enforcement agencies, we are not really going out physically now to apprehend operators. We have, in fact, we are bringing out another one called the whistleblower, where even you can spot something that is wrong, take a picture, upload it for us, and then we we apprehend that vehicle. So there's a lot that is going on in terms of technology to make sure that the system works, because really Lagos is a smart city, and that's where we are going to make sure that everything from land registration to transportation, for housing are all infused, even to your tax payments.
Okay. A short while ago, we were hearing things about people having problems purchasing tickets to get on the BRT. Has that been sorted out?
That has been resolved. That has been resolved.
So they can now use their carry card on the bus?
Yes.
Now, quickly and briefly, tell us, how does one acquire a carry card?
Oh, easily you can go to their website, buy it, even at the bus stops.
Go to where?
You can. The website is not on my head. You can actually
website.
Download it
Okay.
Yes. Then you can actually, all our bus stops, they sell the carry cards there. All the BRT buses.
Just a quick one.
Yes.
For the residents around Tinkan and Akwakwa, what's your assurance you're giving them that this problem is perennial and it's been going on for like forever? What's the assurance you can give, given that at least they will have some sanity in their lives?
So I have a relationship with the Apapa resident, GRA resident association, and they know me. So it is not a meeting now. I was the head of enforcement of Apapa before I became special advisor last year. However, right now I am still the one in charge, quote unquote, working with other people that were working together. And they know that when we say that this will stop, it will stop. In the last 3 days, they've seen a whole lot of reduction in the traffic incidents in Apapa axis. However, for the Tinkan axis side, I am giving you that assurance that in the next 1 week, this will be a thing of the past. And I'm using this opportunity for you to please help us call the tank farm owners, Nupeng, Pengesan, all of them. They have to be responsible. They cannot just come and be staying on the road. That is the problem we have. And each time we go there, we pick up their vehicles. They say they want to go on strike. Now we are ready for them. They are going to go on strike because we have given them enough time. We have addressed them. We've called them for several meetings, meeting upon meeting. However, government will not sit down and allow them to take over the road infrastructure that is meant for the generality of the people of Lagos.
Even though occasionally we hear that some people will say the reason they are not able to move is because it's just one call to one individual from Abuja. From Abuja, and then
So that was a thing of the past. Now with the e-call-up system, you cannot do that. However, why the e-call-up system seems not to be working around that Tinkan axis is that the trucks, the tankers are already on the way. So they blocked everyone that has done their own call-up to move. So talk less of the residents in that axis. So we are saying that we will not, and please, if it's possible for you to invite them to your program to come and explain what is actually happening in that axis, you will see.
Mr. Giwa,
sometime and last year, we as a government will be resilient. We will not allow them to turn our roads to parks.
Sometime last year, we heard about this call-up system, but it doesn't seem to be working, does it?
I can tell you it's working. So the thing is that before on that Ijora axis to park, do you know how many checkpoints are there? How many people are usually on the road? Everybody fixed in. Right now, the way that system works is that whether you like it or not, you cannot gain access to the system, to the port, if you don't do your call-up. Of course, they still have its own issues. We are working with MPA and the company that MPA gave the contract to solve it. Every day, in fact, I can tell you in the last 5 days, we've been having a daily meeting at 8 o'clock every night, apart from the one we do Tuesdays and Thursdays with the management of MPA and that company. So whether we like it or not, people will always try to give the system. We will not allow them. We will not rest on our oars until we get it right. Okay. And that is the promise of Mr. Governor.
Okay. Mr. Shola Giwa, SA to the Lagos State Governor on Transportation, thank you very much for coming to enlighten us regarding the transport system in Lagos. We hope that you will come from time to time like this and bring us up to speed. A Merry Christmas to you.
Thank you very much, Elena.
Sunrise will be back in a moment, and we'll be looking at the care of your skin.
You see that song didn't have lyrics. It is deliberate. Because I want to make some enemies this morning. See, some people, when they want to go out, they construct a building on their faces. First of all, they dig foundation, plaster it on the face. They do lintel.
Then they
on the
paint,
face.
Then they paint.
Then they now paint everything. And then when they come back, they now look for shovel, spade, spade to be removing the building. And we are now saying our skin has problem. Anyway, it's not even for me. Especially another angle. Now, Christmas is very nearby. And some people are going to eat everything. And they are going to exfoliate and whatever other English
Carry on.
And then after that, they will now go to the doctor and say, I don't know what is wrong with my skin. How will you
Carry on.
Anyway, we need to help you. We need to help you so that you are...
Why are you pointing?
Oh, so sorry. We need to help you so that at least adopt some healthy habits to take care of your skin. Because in the year ahead, it's 2024, inflation, and all other matters.
No money to buy paint and to dig foundation.
Well, to take us through some of the healthy habits that are necessary for us to have healthy skin, Dr. Cynthia Ibie joins us this morning. She is a consultant physician and dermatologist. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah. Let us start with misconceptions. Some people believe that unless they do all these things, they can't be fine. That's not the question. What are some of those misconceptions that people have about skincare that you often come across, in your practice?
Okay, I come across them. There's so many of them, but I will just narrow down to a few very common ones. And one of them is that for skincare to be effective, a lot of people feel it has to be very expensive, or the more expensive it is, the more effective it is, which is not always true. It can be simple, cheap, and then still as effective. Okay? Another thing that I find commonly is that men feel that they don't require skincare.
Some men.
A lot of times.
Okay.
Also, I find out that a lot of men feel that they don't need to moisturize their skin. Sometimes I have people who walk into my clinic, and then you ask, especially the men, most of the time, what do you use on your skin? They say, nothing. Nothing. Do we need to use any moisturizer? Moisturizers, they're for women. It's women that moisturize their skin. Sometimes I just find that so ridiculous, and I take my time, explain to them that it's all the same skin. The woman's skin is the same thing as your skin, Also, I find out that a lot of people also have this notion about if you have oily skin, you don't need to moisturize, which is not true. Because if you don't moisturize your skin won't be as hydrated as it should be. It will be dry, and of course, this would even make the skin get more dehydrated in the process, So you have that. So it's always, those are the common things that I find. Also, there's this thing or rave about using harsh sponges. in terms of to scrub the skin.
They have come.
And I say to them that this skin is not more shaki. It's the skin, you know, we need to treat it with care. So you find that people using harsh sponge, the strong ones, you know, to scrub the skin. Also the use of, so many times I find they feel that they have to use antiseptics too in the bath water, you know, for it to be clean, which is not true. You know, what it does, even most of the time, is that those antiseptics in the bath water, they disrupt the normal pH of the skin. Of course, that pH is protective. So by the time you have that happening, you even have the skin more being prone to different certain infections that it shouldn't be. So those are part of the things we've been talking about it, trying to correct it and all of that. So we hope.
So on a day-to-day basis, what are the few tips you can give us to keep our skins healthy?
Okay, that would be first and foremost hydration. So drinking a lot of water. Okay, they say water is life. Water will plump up the skin. Water keeps the skin well hydrated. Besides that, exercising as well, that can improve blood circulation, okay, improve the overall appearance of the skin.
Exercising affects the skin.
Yes, so we also have eating fruits and vegetables as well is good. We have fruits which contain vitamin A, rich in vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin E. We have the citrus-containing fruits, which contain vitamin C, vitamin A, things like carrots. They also help as well to make the skin glow. So doing that as well. And also we should always, hydration, always emphasize. I see so many people, sometimes you look at their skins, you know, you have, especially this weather, we can see that the harmattan is out. So we need to moisturize our skin very well. Those are the few tips. Also, sunscreen, sun protection, I would say. So as opposed to just using a sunscreen. I would say sun protection, the sun hat, wearing goggles, you know, we need to protect our skin, and then using a sunscreen. There's this notion that sunscreen is meant for only the white, the Caucasians, and not the black. That we, yes, quite all right, we have melanin protecting us, but everyone needs to use a sunscreen, okay? And how should it be used? Every 4 hours at least. The sunscreen should be reapplied on exposed areas, the face, the arms, you know, just to protect our skin.
So is that why some people look like they have, let me not use those, you know, yellow and brown and the knuckles and all those things?
No, so that has to do with a variety of factors. There are different causes. Some might have used skin lightening creams, which we find commonly, containing hydroquinone, possible. Yes, so a lot of times, mainly what they've used, or maybe even internal diseases. You know, it's more.
But did we not hear at one time that bleaching creams containing hydroquinone were banned in this country a few years ago? Or maybe it's wishful thinking on my part.
Yes, but we still have some hydroquinone containing cream circulating around. I don't know how it gets in, but we still.
There's only one way. We should be asking NAFDAC
and customs,
especially about
very
those
much.
Customs.
Yes.
You know, but so sometimes all somebody needs to hear is that this thing works. There was a time the only thing I heard about skincare was aloe vera. And people consumed, drank, you know, ate, rubbed on their body and all those things. So what are some of those seemingly surprising or unconventional things that people do in the name of skincare?
So I've seen all sorts of things. So in the name of skincare, some people use palm oil. We've had that, but palm oil is
to do what?
It'll stain your clothes.
For the skin. Yes, so we have all of that.
Wait. Please. So someone will go into the kitchen, right? Scoop some red oil in some container.
Yes.
Either the light part or the bottom part.
Yes.
And put it in and use it to rub their bodies.
Yes, they do that.
Is it supposed to be good for the skin?
Palm oil is good, but not it has to be processed, because there are some impurities as well, which could be. So it's good for the skin. Shea butter just falls in the range of shea butter, palm oil, and coconut oil too, but mainly for the hair. Coconut oil is mainly for the hair. Some people use it for the skin as well. Okay. Also, what we find a lot of times that people do unconventionally is that they have this thing, once they notice anything on their skin, they go to buy these creams. There's some creams that we call Bogbonishe triple action creams. We find it a lot, yes. It's quite rampant now. So they do this, they use it on their skin. Some of them even use it as body creams. And a lot of these creams contain steroids in them. So we find them do that and before you know, once they have a rash, they use that. They must have used it for a while, and then they walk into your clinic, of course, with even the worst, whatever they had before had gotten worse, and sometimes what these creams do a lot of time is that they even mask the way that the normal skin lesion is supposed to look like to help us to get to a diagnosis. So they just mask that way, So we have that triple action. It's very, very, it's like a go-to for a lot of people. Once they notice anything, they go purchase it and then use it.
Okay, I want to stir the hornet's nest. Generally, some people want to help God to make their bodies look better. Sometimes. So it could be the attack, could be the defense, could be any other part of the body. They just want to, it's not enough. So they believe that maybe if they just have a little more, it could just make them look more marketable and those things. How impactful are those things on the skin and general well-being of the individual?
Mr. Makinde, okay. So I would say that for a lot of people, usually doing all of these things, for some people, I don't want to, cross, but I would say that some desire to look better. Some might be as a result of low self-esteem. But I would say in doing these things, it has to do with you doing it with someone trained, because there are different complications that might arise from this procedure. So I wouldn't say that they are bad. That's why I said you need to think of the person involved in terms of the psychological, the self-esteem and all of that. But it depends on where you go to do it. There are complications that arise with every procedure. This is one of them, but I would not say that they are bad.
Are they sometimes medically recommended for some people?
Besides obesity, which if he has posing a hazard to the person's health, yes. Okay. But besides that, we don't recommend the body works or the cosmetic surgery, except it depends on the individual. But it's not something that we recommend.
That leads me to this question of finding the right treatments for your skin. You said it, the other time, some people believe that once you have oily skin, there is only one kind of treatment that you can give to your body. Do you think people find it difficult getting the right skincare products for themselves? How do you advise them to navigate?
Okay, so navigating through this, I would say first and foremost, the most important thing is knowing your skin type. That is the first hurdle,
So how many of us do?
So that is why you need to consult with a dermatologist. So there are different skin types. You have the oily skin, you have the dry skin, you have the combination skin. So, and the sensitive one, they are the sensitive. So you need to, not one stone fits all. For example, someone might have both dry and sensitive skin. Two people might have both dry, and then another one might have a sensitive skin. You understand? Atopy, those ones have really sensitive skin. One might have a dry skin. You can't use the same products to fit those people, or the same skincare products. So it's not really one stone fits all. It's identifying the right skin type in the first place. Okay, that's the. Also in I noticed that a lot of times I ask a few people who have come into my daily practice, what are you using? A lot of them, there's this rave about using the organic. So they tell you I'm using organic cream or organic
And a lot of times they don't know the consequence of what is in the organic product. So I think navigating through this, people should as well pay attention to what ingredients, they are using, and not just that I'm using organic cream and they don't know, half of the time they don't know. And also knowing the skin type. And knowing their skin type, of course, they need to consult with a dermatologist to know what skin type they have.
So how do you even know what skin type you have? I know, I'm not, don't worry, they will still call you, but I've heard this. There are some people, just as you mentioned, they have 2 or 3 different types of skin. Facial skin,
yes,
the body is dry,
different,
yes,
and all those things. And then some people, for whatever reason, there is a part that is African, there's a part that is Caucasian of their own same body.
That is called Coke body Fanta face.
I didn't say it too. It's not me. So how do people identify? Because some people will just say, I'm using argan oil, and then you just rub it on this part and rub it on the face, rub it on every other part, and then after some time, the skin begins to look like she described. I didn't say it.
So for those ones that have oily skin, for some people, they really have, we call the T-zones, very oily T-zones around the nose, so they have that oiliness such that if they use a blotting paper, so you could find that they have oily. And then for the dry skin, you just find out they're very dry. A lot of times they get really ashy, For those group of people, they are classified as having dry skin, while the combination skin might be a combination of mixed. So you might have some people might have some areas of patchy dryness around the face, and then the oily T-zones.
Wow.
So with those people, you really need to sit with the dermatologist. What are we using? Look through the product. It could be a challenge sometimes, but at the end of the day, we get through. So they still need to consult.
What are the consequences of not consulting?
Consequences of not consulting is that you might purchase something that is not right for your skin, and at the end of the day, it will irritate your skin, of course, and lead to an irritant dermatitis.
Okay. When you were opening, you spoke about moisturizing. So is it only a person who has dry skin who moisturizes? No.
Certainly not.
Everybody?
Everybody.
Okay. So how does one determine the kind of moisturizer? I recall I watched a television program once, and the anchor stressed that she moisturized about 5-6 times every day. So if one has to moisturize so many times a day, how does one determine what to moisturize with?
Okay, I would give you an instance. For example, if I had someone who had dry skin walk into my clinic, and we had this issue of dry skin, what do I moisturize with? For those with dry skin particularly, I will look for some certain ingredients. They can contain mineral oil, but particularly I'll be urea. There are some agents that are very good for dry skin, such as urea. So I want to be sure that, does it have urea in it? In what percentage does it have? Depending on how dry the skin is. For some people, I might use as high as 10% urea or 5% urea. So that's an example of something, if you have dry skin, what you should look out for. Yeah. In terms of other people, if you have oily skin, I would say more of lotions that can dry up quickly, or gels, as opposed to using a cream which oily. So oil-free moisturizers, oil-free lotions on the face, more for those group of people.
When you were speaking earlier, you talked about the function of exercising. You will help us understand how exercising helps your skin, one. And then the Yuletide is here. It's going to be, and you have told us the first time you came, you talked about the place of nutrition on skincare, on good skin. So speak to us about those two.
Okay. So for exercising, what it does basically just improve blood circulation, helps the skin to glow. Okay. In terms of skincare, the Yuletide season, the Harmattan, that has been a topic that's been going on around. I mean, before I came here, we spoke about it yesterday on our forum. So in terms of navigating really with the weather and skincare, I would say this Yule tide and the Harmattan, I would advise that, especially since it gets really dry, one of the helpful tips we could do this period, a cup of baby oil. We don't really use buckets this time, but I mean, back for some people who still use the buckets and water, but a cup of baby oil or a cup of olive oil in the bath water does a lot in helps in terms of moisturizing the skin. Okay, one other useful tip is after having a bath, usually we advise, especially at this season, to just, as opposed to drying the whole skin, you could just dab some areas so that you leave some moisture on your skin, and when you're moisturizing, it locks in. So you get a better moisturized skin that way, as opposed to drying up all your skin. Okay, other things that could help this weather is not using hot water per se, because if you use hot water for the skin, the more it dries out. You have that drying effect, or strips the skin of moisture.
I don't think you're being kind.
No, you can.
It's cold.
You can use, but if you use hot water, it strips the skin. So lukewarm water is fine. That's what we're. And once you have your bath, you moisturize as well. So you can do that up. And we have Vaseline. It doesn't have to be anything expensive. Shea butter, we've started incorporating that, especially at this period.
Shea butter is becoming expensive now because everyone is using it.
Yes, everyone is using it.
They have started making it more expensive.
So shea butter, Vaseline, very good. This period, a lip balm, because the lips can get really dry and chapped. So you could have that with you in your pocket and then moisturize. Yes,
would you advise somebody who is in winter to bath with lukewarm water?
So the hot water is too dry, maybe a bit tepid, but the hot water has that drying effect really on the skin. I understand, maybe in between, but not hot like you see sometimes.
Okay,
so in between.
You're speaking about the peculiarity of Harmattan in this season. How about food that people are going to be eating, both the good, the bad, and the other one?
Okay, for food, I would say that...
How does it impact on...
What I say a lot of times, is that you are what you eat. So putting garbage in, garbage out. So you must eat clean and right. So part of the foods, I mean, we have fruits and vegetables, vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin E. So we have carrots, we have in terms of fruits, avocados, good for the skin, citrus-containing fruits. We have berries, oranges, they as well as good. So incorporating vegetables and fruits into our diets as well. We have the ugu, the locally produced one. Like we said before, not everyone can afford broccoli. So we can incorporate that. But the foods, yes, they play a long role. And back in the days, someone had, if you notice back, our parents, forefathers and all, they used to eat a lot of fresh food from the farm, and then you notice...
Farm to table distance is very short.
Yes, so then a lot of, them glowing skin, so we eat doing that. Just that now we have so many people with eating processed foods. Not everyone has incorporated the eating vegetables and fruits. So if we could, that's one of the things. So vitamin A, C, E, selenium too is good for the hair, for the skin.
Where does one get selenium?
From fruits too. You can do that.
Okay.
You can get.
What about eating fast food or junk food?
No, fast food, please. But you see, the fast food, when you eat fast food, it will your skin will grow up fast. Abi? What? It's fast. Everything's.
Not healthy, right?
Not healthy, but.
But what?
I mean, some of us are guilty of it once in a while.
Okay, this is what the classic case of physician heal thyself.
Once in a while.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, it's okay once in a while, but don't make it a habit.
Yes,
to eat
because I mean, some
fast
people,
food all the time.
Okay. So moderation is what we don't understand sometimes. But
moderation is an English word, and that's where it stops. Just a quick one. Caring for children. Sometimes paying attention to their skin is also an issue, and it's easy for a mother to panic when she sees one little thing on the skin, on the hair skin, on the body of the child, and all of that. What should be a mother's first reaction in such cases?
Once she sees
any seemingly disturbing thing on the child's skin,
to consult her dermatologist.
No quick fix.
No quick fix. It's always better to consult a professional, because by the time they do quick fixes, I gave you an instance of triple action. It's called Gbogbonise. It has an anti-inflammatory, it has antifungal, it has antibacterial. So Gbogbonise means that we don't know what it is, but whatever is here, we'll just attack it. So the quick fix can be a problem. So the best thing is to consult a dermatologist.
Do not say, I didn't tell you. You have heard. Thank you so much for coming this morning. Good thing she's not warning us not to eat chicken and all those things.
No, she just said, eat well and eat, eat healthy.
Okay.
Whether at Christmas or any other time.
You're happy today?
Sorry.
Are you sure it's not what you...
Your question is choking me.
Dr. Sylvia, consultant physician and dermatologist, thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
That's how I help some people to keep quiet. We'll be right back for the home stretch.
Thank you for staying with us. Now for the home stretch. Kelvin Sapp is an event performer, comedian, music director. He holds a double honorary doctorate award in public administration from the Institut Supérieur de Communication et de Gestion.
That's why you should be the one to take it.
No wonder. Now I understand. So that is our artist of the week today. Kelvin, good morning to you.
Good morning.
What is a public admin awardee? Double honor award doing. Even you are finding it funny, you are laughing.
He's a comedian.
What are you doing in comedy with 2 honorary awards in public administration? You are supposed to be a politician.
You know this line of our work. People that just like what you do, they want to honor you. They always look for the way they feel you appreciate the honor to honor you. That was how that doctorate award came in.
So they award you because you are doing comedy. They award you public administration award 2.
It's just the grace of God. There's nothing I can say. It wasn't paid for. It wasn't bought. I was just called upon on a particular day to say, Kevin, we want to give you this award. So that was how.
Okay. So tell us, how did you get into comedy?
I think I got into comedy from a friend of mine. Actually advised me to get into comedy. I was actually clowning in the school hostel while I was doing diploma in law at the Delta State University, where I did my diploma in law. I was clowning, and my friend said, this thing you are doing, you can actually do it as a full-time job or as a comedian. So he encouraged me. His name is Prince, so he's also a comedian. So that was how I started from school.
Wait. I beg, wait. Delta State University. What did you study before your friend came and told you that you could do comedy?
I was studying diploma in law. I was doing diploma in law.
How then relate, my brother?
That's the country we live in. It does not relate.
Man must work.
Man must work. I have a friend who had a 2-1 in microbiology. He's a comedian.
Yeah.
So the micro, his own is using microphone. It's just
Microbiology, microphone. I see. Interesting.
So, you were in the choir. Then you became a choir master.
Yeah, music director 2 times in a row.
And then you went to go and study law. And then you became a comedian. Oh boy, your road long.
I never...
Go on.
Sorry, we didn't hear that.
Please unmute.
Yes, I said I haven't broken it down like this before.
Oh,
like,
okay.
Break it down. From here now, go here. From here now, go here.
But now it has been broken down before your very koro eyes.
Yes, it's a very long journey.
All right, tell us, how did it all really start for you? For how many years have you been in comedy now?
Well, since 2010, 2011.
Okay, well, it already had quite takeoff at the time. How did it begin for you? What was your motivation? What was your inspiration for getting into it full time?
I think one of the things that motivated me for getting into it full time was in 2017. In 2017, before then I had been doing stand-up, but in 2017, I did a song that went really popular. At that time, we don't know what viral is. We just know that the song spread around everywhere. That was a song I did when this Ponzi scheme came back then. So I don't know if you heard the song.
What?
So it was that song that the moment that song picked up, everybody was like, man, who is this guy who sang the song? And from there, I started coming out more again. You know, it was just me doing my thing in Delso. But after then, we had to bring it out to the world as a whole. So that was when the motivation came.
Okay. Yeah, there's something you said in the joke that's on the screen now, in your performance, with Forever that's on the screen now. You talked about people stealing, or rather, doing other people's jokes. Have you been a victim?
The truth is, you can't steal my joke. That's the problem.
Oh, really?
Yes, the kind of comedy I do is music comedy. So for you to steal my joke, one, you must have an understanding of what music is. You must know tonation, you must know tunes before you can steal my joke. It's not that easy, but for every other comedian that does stand-up comedy, stealing of joke is somewhere in the industry of comedy. The ones I hate is the ones that will steal the joke, and when they want to perform it, they perform it word for word, they don't improvise. Some will even go and look for the outfit you wore that day you crack the joke so that the joke will be well tailored. So that's what the problem is.
So how are you dealing with that in the industry? If it was music, we would say it's copyrighted. Credits could be given royalties and all. But for comedy, how are you guys dealing with it?
I think what we're doing now is, that's why you see many of us are trying to make sure we build our platform to make sure that when we go for events, we tend to have somebody that goes with us to do little recording. So from there, we can actually, immediately we leave the event, we try and post it. Because for you to brag about a particular joke or a content, it should be seen on your platform first. Because the way internet and social media all is going, anybody that posts something first, they assume it's the person that owns the content. So the best thing is work on your platform. So we try our best to work on our platform then to make sure we push it in first. That's what we do.
Well, it's interesting that, anyway, so what kind of reception do you get, from your colleagues in the industry? What would you call your own USP in the comedy sector?
I think my own niche has been the fact that I don't do what everybody do. When I started comedy, it was more of stand-up, but after some time, I had to find my place in the comedy. Everybody does stand-up, so I had to look for, okay, where's my stronghold? So which has been the music comedy, and over the years, I've been able to, until recently I was checking, I discovered that the music comedy that I've converted, the ones I've done cover for is more than 15. which could even form an album. So that's I think that's the thing that has kept me with my colleagues. They know that, okay, Kelvin does stand up, but he has a very good strength in music comedy. So that's the difference between.
Yeah, and there aren't many of you in music comedy, really. Although I would remember back in the day, I think we had, was it MC Basketmouth, and very, very few others.
Yeah, Basketmouth.
Yeah, back in the day.
Maliki was there too.
Okay, yes, and then there was CD John, I think, a number of other people, like that. So, what's the appreciation that people need to have for your branch of comedy, which is music comedy?
Okay. I think the appreciation people should have for our branch of comedy is the fact that it is not really that easy as it sounds. Because if you can see from behind me now, this is my workstation. So anything you see that I do out there, it takes time. We'll come here, we'll produce, we sing, we'll back up, we do everything, we'll master it, and we'll mix it. It's more or less like I'm doing the same music, the basic thing, but I'm just doing it from a different angle. So people should appreciate the fact that we put in a lot of effort to make sure that the music comedy here is nice. We put in a lot of effort.
And the number of
three of us that are there, we do a lot of effort to make sure the thing is nice.
And a number of people will also wonder the value it brings. Yes, it's funny and all. Why should people appreciate it? What value would you say generally comedy brings to the table, particularly your genre?
I think my genre of comedy is the value it brings is the fact that funny enough as it may sound, some of the music comedy that I've done, I performed it in places, churches and other places where I get feedback from people that say, this thing is comedy, but there is something inside that touches my heart. There is something inside that touches my soul. So, and that's the main goal of me being a comedian. Even when I'm funny, I should be able to bless you. Even when I'm funny, I should be able to touch a particular part of your soul. It's not just laughing. I remember one performance I had in Port Harcourt. A woman said, I came to this church to be very dull and sad. But immediately I finished listening to all this your music comedy and your performance, I swear I don't know what happened. It's like a burden just left me. I just became light. So this thing is not just ordinary. We don't just do it because we want to do it because it's more like a goal. Is what we're called to do. So I try to make sure, for me as an individual, I try to make sure I don't just do music comedy for you to hear. I do it for it to become a blessing to you when you hear it. And I've gotten a lot of feedbacks about this thing being a blessing, this thing touching my life. So it's about touching lives. That's one of the value I give for music comedy.
Well, there's something I'd like you to speak with you, and I don't want you to shy away from it if you can. If you can handle it. When it comes to movies, there are genres. There is horror, there's action, there is comedy, there's romance, and all of that. When it comes to music, there are genres. There's reggae, Afrobeat. Now we have Afrobeats, you name it. Soul, disco, pop, and the list is long. When it comes to comedy, you've talked about music comedy, you've talked about stand-up, and you see, for the other sectors of entertainment, music and movies, they have, peculiar ways, even parameters with which to judge how good they are and all of that. Do you see such a thing happening in your sector, in comedy, where people can grade and they can, maybe, should I dare say, award some recognition to certain classes of comedy, if you will?
Yeah, presently we have that. There's a platform. There's a body of people that are actually doing that recently, because the comedy itself is not just stand-up comedy alone. It's not music comedy. We have different genre of comedy. We have the stand-up, the music, the sitcom, and presently now we have skit makers who are also doing comedy. So there's a body, the Humor Awards, they're actually doing that right now, trying to segment every part of this comedy to say, okay, who is the best stand-up comedian of the year, who is the best music comedian of the year, who is the best skit maker of the year, who is the best sitcom comedian, the best comedy content, to actually, okay, now let's appreciate every segment of what comedy is about. And they're actually doing that. They had their award last year. They're still going to have it this year again. So they're actually doing that to show the different angles of strength when it comes to comedy in general, where it is being segmented into. So everybody's been awarded according to what you are giving and where you are positioned. So there's an award for that. Everybody's been awarded for it. But still, it all started from stand-up comedy. So stand-up comedy is actually the mother of everything. It's from stand-up comedy. We went into sitcom, we went into music comedy, we went into skit making. So that's where everything falls out from the stand-up comedy itself.
You started by singing in the choir and you became a choir master. Why didn't you just go into music?
Let's say my friend deceived me.
But you're also a musician, right?
Yes, I am a full musician. Full time.
But you prefer comedy?
No. I can't say I prefer comedy. People tend to ask me all the time, Kelvin, if you had to choose between comedy and full-time music, what will you do? And truth be told, I will pick full-time music. Reason being that, like I said it some days ago, and it's not strange that the question is coming. The truth is, I like being a musician. I like singing. I do more of gospel music, so I like singing gospel music. I love blessing people. It's what God has called me to do. So the comedy thing for me is like sometimes when I want to depreciate it, I'll say comedy is my talent. Music is my ministry. So that's the two in one. But if you ask me now, what do I want to do? I'm given the opportunity. So I just want to just do music quietly, because this comedy is by the grace of God.
Okay.
They want to take it home and abroad. So that's it.
I think we just found our headline for tomorrow. Comedy is my talent. Music is my
calling, my ministry.
You know, someone wants to know. So, with all of these, how are you legalizing? Oh, maybe I should put it better. What happens to law, or is it just in the recycle bin?
So far so good. So far so good. I went back to school after running around, diploma in law. The law unlawed me. But so far I got admission again, and I ended up studying international studies.
Okay.
Same Delsu main campus. God's grace, I'm looking at.
Oh dear, we're losing you.
Okay. Okay, well, we have to thank you and wish you well. But before you go, in 30 seconds, what should we expect next from Kelvin Sapp?
What's to expect from Kelvin Sapp? 2024, like I said, is a year of ministry. 2024 is a year of ministry. By 2024, by God's grace, not by my own power, but by the help of God, I'm going to be cutting down on comedy a lot, because I have to now face what God has assigned me to do in 2024. So in 2024, it's going to be a lot of ministry work. Taking the ministry of singing very seriously. And that's what they should expect. We're already working on an EP that will be dropping in 2024. Songs are ready. By 2024, I'm going to be dropping songs officially as a gospel minister by God's grace.
Well, what can we do but wish you well today on the program, because, hey, it's the best, of it for you that we can only wish. I really wish you were in Lagos. We would have arrested you as well, but hey, what can we do?
Kelvin Sapp, musician, comedian, music director, wannabe lawyer, or should I be lawyer once upon a time?
International relations in view.
Thank you very much for being our guest on Sunrise today. We wish you all the best, especially in this Christmas period when you all are very busy people.
Yes.
Thank you very much. And
Thank you.
So that brings to a close Sunrise for today. Don't forget that next week is going to be a very special Christmas program. We are having our December Sunrise special, and all the big names are going to be here. We're going to have guests in the studio as well. I'm Alero Edu, wishing you all the best until next week.
And I'm Ayo Makinde. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend.